Well, I've been going on these garden tours for many years. It's actually one of my favorite days of the whole year. And I think what I am looking for the most, I love the plants and flowers, but the most magnificent thing to me is seeing special spots in Concord that I've never seen before. And Concord has such interesting land. It's these three rivers coming together, fascinating glacial formations, all those eskers and kettle ponds, and just amazing everywhere you turn. So, and I've been here a long time, I've seen a lot, but every garden tour there is something that surprises me. And this is one of those sites. I can't wait to show you this very special piece of land. So follow me and we'll come along. So this land really took a lot of vision. What they were thinking about as they did this was how to transition from all that wildness, how to celebrate that wildness, make this wonderful site for the animals of Concord. It's a deer highway, coyotes go across, and then transition from the real wildness into something that is more semi-agrarian, as we'll see in this meadow that's coming up, and then to something that is quite refined and formal. So, to do something like this takes so much patience and persistence. And I do think, when I think about that, I think about Ralph Waldo Emerson saying, "Adopt the pace of nature. Her secret is patience." And that certainly is true here. Over all that time, we're entering this alley of maples, and this is also something that really takes forethought and patience. When these were put in, the children were very small that's when they moved here, and their mother told them, "Someday these small trees will kiss." And look at them, it's happening. But it does take close to about 20 years for something like that to do. I mean, they'll embrace before it's all over. And that sort of thinking ahead, that sort of vision, not just for how you are going to live there, but moves that will really impact generations. That is stunning and very exciting to me. So let's continue on up and explore more of this extraordinary site. I mean, even to pass under an alley of, these are sugar maples, so gorgeous, so New England, and to feel them arching above and to see their very careful spacing. I mean, this was a site that was planned so carefully. Steve Stinson was their landscape architect, and he took on their vision and made some really wonderful moves like this. And here we are approaching the house and going past this wonderful meadow. You can see right here, it's full of, the monarch butterflies just love that. And it's mostly Timothy grass. It's a beautiful, beautiful meadow. So this land was mostly eskers. So you'll see that when we go through the woods in the back of the house. It was very up and down. So this meadow, this hill, was smoothed out to be a great approach to the house. They preserved that great massive oak in the front. And then situated the house so that it's up, but it's very also nestled down into the landscape. And there's a lot of contrast here from the wooded area into much more formal spaces, but there's really a lot of harmony too. Things are working together so carefully, blending with the old too. There are old stone walls running through the property, and then a new stone wall as well, and this gentle sweep and grading. It's so beautiful. And then the way they treat the transitions to the woods with this native shrub layer. I'll show you more about that in a moment. So let's head up this way along. Now we're getting into a more formal space. So we're onto this flagstone walkway, passing these gorgeous old oaks, you know, and beautiful, broad, welcoming porch. There's a real warmth to this space. It's becoming more intimate. I do want to show you a very, very special tree. It's been given a very special spot too. That is a yellowwood ahead, and it is the biggest specimen that I've ever seen. It's an unusual tree because it blooms only every other year, and it blooms with these, I don't know if you can see, these wisteria-like draping flowers, and look at it move in the wind. It's just doing such a wonderful thing for us right now. So let's go over and see it a little closer. These flowers are also, they smell delicious and very graceful form. But here they are, aren't we lucky today? They are just about in their prime, and they only are, it was 2 years ago when it looked like this. So, wow. And I can smell it as they open up. You'll smell it even more. Yeah, yellowwood is quite special. And it's been pruned beautifully. It has this wonderful vase-shaped branching habit. So, and this one has been given plenty of space. That's what trees just love, and I love to see trees. It's true with the sugar maple. If we turn around and look down the meadow, the sugar maple also all have this space to be truly themselves. It look like very happy trees to me when they can actually express who they really are. So a lot of beauty there. Well, there's so much really excellent use of contrast in this space. I mean, we've just been in this very expansive space, and we're moving into a much more formal space. I'll sort of tell you why that works that way. And much more intimate. I mean, so sweet but strong, a strong design. And there's contrast even in, I love walking along these huge flagstones, but toward this really petite orangerie, just very delicate. And again, even the garden is just sort of exquisitely delicate. You do have these big, so sort of bolder runs of the same type of plant. That is a very formal thing to do, and those beautiful boxwood in the rear, that is certainly quite formal. And then all these peonies, wow, are we lucky to catch them today? And they're coming along for a while, but we have some wonderful ones here. And then I just love this these are just Siberian iris. But I think the contrast in form is so beautiful with the peony. And again, it just runs the whole length of this garden. A formal thing to do these full runs. But then, you know, Siberian iris is not a really formal plant. So I love that. And, you know, peonies are just such a New England, a sign of coming summer in New England. It's just perfect right here. And then there are wonderful touches. I see this is anemone, you know, maybe like an Honoré Joubert coming along for the fall. So it's always fun to see what is coming along, what's going to be special as the summer and fall progress. And the sweetness of this white all along the front. So pretty. And then some allium in the back, those punctuating the run is so lovely. And a baptisia up here, just something big, a big presence with that beautiful pea-like leaf. Heaven. And then these pots of geraniums. And it is all echoed on the other side. So that's symmetry, that is classic formality. But there's a warmth. Formal can be cold. And here, I think, because we're in this intimate space, the flowers are just so beautiful and enticing. I mean, don't you, with peonies, I just want to go up and, look at them and smell them. And it kind of just put my faith in them. It's a really, really sensual experience to be with a peony. Oh, I forgot, I wanted to point out the Sarah Bernhardt peony that is one of the owner's favorites. And I think it's really special. And it reminded me, because as I was putting my face in that one, these ones are these really, really rich, deep ones that you can see right into. And gosh, just makes me want to touch. So do that with your peonies. They come and go pretty fast. So let's get the most of them. All right, follow me as we go through. This is really special too, I think. Again, you've got something so big here, this huge flagstone. And but to travel through the house, to travel through this this much more intimate space into their orangerie. So in the wintertime, this has plants in it. It's they have their Meyer lemon in here, and but it's this wonderful way of passing right through the house. And then we go out onto this other wonderful space. Very, very intimate again, just embraced by the house on either side. So, and super formal, but somehow in its scale, it just feels sweet and lovely to be out here. And imagine that fountain of sound on a summer day, even today. It's doing that thing of capturing all of my senses. It really just, all that water, we're made of water. So I think I'm always drawn to water. And the lovely way it trickles down. And then here we have climbing hydrangea. That's going to be this wonderful bloom in the fall. More of this alyssum along here. So there are koi in this pond, along with these water lilies. So you can see, if you can get a look at that. And then I just love the way this is also punctuated by this wonderful arch, which has a David Austin New Dawn rose on it. And we have these wonderful crab apples on either side. And a clematis, so those are fall clematis, but this one is about to bloom. This will be just beautiful. Rose and a clematis together are a classic combination. And here's the rose coming up. It just is loveliness. It just is New England loveliness with a lot of order around it right here. And those beautiful little sort of French table and chairs and the flagstone here. And they've really made great use of what is underfoot for messages. So this is all paved, making it more formal. I'm already, as I get under this pergola, stepping out onto a fieldstone. That's a message right away to me that we are changing our mode and going into something much more wild and loose. So let's head out here. Look at the wonderful way these steps lead you down right toward the woods. As I said, this is a 27-acre property. All but 5 of the acres are woods. It's a southern gateway to Esterbrook Woods right here. So that is super special to see. And we'll come back to that. But I want to show you just how they've made a nice transition here from lawn, more formality, into the woods by bringing in mostly native shrubs. So, that is what will look most akin to what grows here naturally. They're happy here in their native environment. So that's what they can do. And look who's here. So we'll see chickens, or we've seen them on another property. Here is another crew who provide eggs for the family. I just think it's so neat. This wonderful thing that they've designed so that they lay their eggs right in these boxes. And maybe they've already been collected this morning. There's nothing in there right now, but it's great to see you guys. Let's also grab a look at the vegetable garden over here. It's petite, so they go away in the summer, but really stunning, I think, with these 3 tutors. The owner told me she loves to walk on this kind of riverstone in bare feet. So that's, again, it's this change in paving for, flagstone near the house, a little more formality. Fieldstone here when we get onto this vegetable area. This is all thyme. That's going to be a sun gold tomato that'll come right up through that tuteur. More tomatoes and chives. I wanted to mention this winter savory because I've never tasted it, and the owner gave me some to bring home after my first visit and to mix into some goat cheese, and wow, it is a wonderful herb, so I'm definitely adding it to my garden. So here we are in this woodland garden, leaving the formality behind, but making this gentle transition into the woods. And I love to see what they've done here. I mean, these wonderful plants that are garden plants, the lamium and the hosta, and a little bit more of a woodland, an anemone down there. And then obviously all of this is the touch of man putting these wonderful steps in here, but you begin to feel like you're much more in a wild space. These are such handsome steps, and imagine the work it took to get this in here. But it kind of feels like it just sprung up as part of the land as well. I mean, doing something like this is a real legacy piece, and this is going to be here for generations and generations. And people will be looking at it as they do all of our old stone walls, thinking about who put it here and, where is it coming from? So I like to think of that as I walk down all of these quite sculptural, quite special stones, each one of them, and then landing actually in a wonderful piece of Concord woods with all of its features. This hemlock as we're going by, a beautiful maple, oak, a look off into a meadow, the stone wall beside us, the transitions of life in the forest, this very sculptural tree that's come down. I love it that they have left the leaves and the branches and the old trees. The owner told me that they didn't do that in the beginning and that they are doing it more and more because it's so beneficial to wildlife to have these spaces to live in, and the decay that happens, and much, much better for the natural world. But I also think it makes for a much more rich and interesting woodland experience too, to just see, to see clues. That's what I love to look for in the woods. I mean, see this grass. So pretty much if you see grass in the woods, it means that there have been horses going through. It comes in their manure and will spring up like that and create that soft look, as are that beautiful stand of ferns. But it's fun to look for clues. Some of my favorite woodland plants are in here, simple ones that you see all over Concord and New England. But this is Canada Mayflower right here. This is Starflower. It's just like finding old friends to see those as you walk through the woods. I just love it. And come along with me. We have to watch our footing a little bit as we head through all of this. So let me tell you also in the woods, what I do sometimes is if I'm feeling like I need to find a little more equanimity, I do a practice called forest bathing. Now that is something called Shinrin Roku, and it is a Japanese ritual. It's not an old one. It's one that they thought of in the 80s when they were having a lot of trouble, a lot of stress in work. And the government actually came up with this. Rituals are so much a part of Japanese culture and life. They came up with this, and there are different ways to practice. But the way I do is to amble along slowly. It's a bit like Thoreau's sauntering, right? And just pay attention to one sense at a time. So as I'll be walking along, I'll be thinking about maybe touch, maybe what is under my feet, and does it feel different to walk on these pine needles versus I just stepped on a rock. And just tuning in not to the thoughts, but just what I'm feeling. And then I'll do that for a minute or two, and then move over to sound. And you know, there's some birds, a bird I don't quite recognize, but there's a certain kind of texture to his call, and I hear an answer to that call, and I stay with that for a while. And then I look at what I see. And, you know, maybe I'm looking and naming some old friends, old names I know, but I try to really keep it more to observation of color and texture and variation. And, you know, a lot of this is also, I love these trees, and the trunks of these trees are full of all of these things, full of, you know, wonderful texture and subtle variation of color, and often some life on these trees, looking for some lichen. I mean, when I come to a tree like this, I feel the energy coming off of it. I mean, these trees are like super highways. They have photosynthesis going on way at the top of something like this. And then the sugars are coming down so fast to feed the trees and the roots, and then the roots are taking up nutrients and water from the soil and sending it all the way. It has to go so far, so fast, all the way up to the top. So of course, in woods like this, it's also this joy of looking up, seeing what's up there. Oh, hear that woodpecker? So there are a lot of ways to experience and enjoy the woods. And that is one. Did I get all those senses? Sound, touch, vision. I think sometimes I can find a little bit of wintergreen. Sometimes there are things to taste in the woods too. So you can try that sometime if you want to. Another way I engage with the woods sometimes is, well, besides looking up, really looking down and looking at what, you know, looking at things that suggest the passage of time. And what I like to do is like pull up some leaves and think about, was this a leaf that fell off the tree last fall? Or maybe this was a leaf that fell off the tree 2 years ago. And it's a really fun thing to do with children, to make them think about, you know, the difference, the beauty, and the beauty in decay too. Sometimes you see, this laciness of leaves that fell off 2 years ago actually holds a little more beauty and interest than the more recent leaf. So just some things to think about in the woods. Let's head along as we look at this wonderful decay. All of these, I think, are some of the most sculptural, beautiful, interesting things when they are homes for animals. Gosh, a dead tree left standing is such a wonderful habitat. You can see a lot of insects and animals, birds have enjoyed that. And to me, it's just a piece of sculpture in the wood as well. Wonderful texture of these varied barks. There's such majesty in woods like this. I often feel like I'm in like a cathedral of pines. Especially these massive white pines. And there's some beautiful soaring oaks too among here. But just a feeling of awe. As we go along here, we really get a look at a land formation that is so common in Concord, and the mark of the glaciers, or the glaciers as they were receding, leaving these eskers, leaving these long fingers of elevation up and down. There's another one up there, and they are just full of glacial till, mostly sand, small rocks. And that is a lot of what Concord is under this fairly thin layer of topsoil, is a lot of sand. Sometimes you'll see glacial erratics out in the woods, but it's these eskers that are one of the hallmarks of our landscape. So we're coming into this really stunning and special grove of red pine. I love red pine, but mostly because I've seen it and lived with it up in northern New Hampshire. I don't know a grove like this anywhere in Concord. There may well be one, but I don't know anything like this. And gosh, they are so majestic and such special trees with this red glowing bark. It's a beautiful coarse bark and such straight up structures. And once you take a closer look at this bark, it just is also like a work of art. And I have actually made pins out of it, like this, just a little pin on the back. It just is so special. But having a group of them here is something that's really so extraordinary. I mean, we're here in the morning, but if you're here in warm, late afternoon or evening light, they glow. The red on them will glow, and it will cast that red glowing light on everybody around, so everybody looks all rosy, and it's really special. It's so cool to have them too as we're heading up this hill, up to the top of one of these eskers. And this is a place, I think this is a running trail, and the children in this family were both cross-country runners, and the parents, you can see probably a little while ago, would sit in those chairs with their drinks and watch the runners go by. It's a wonderful memory, and these are such special pieces right here. Again, I would say a wonderful transition from the woods into a more sort of homey and manicured site. They have the touch of the woods, but they are a lovely, lovely place to sit as well. So let's head back up to the house. It's so inviting, isn't it? You can see how we're being welcomed, and this great transition from just walking along a woodland path. There's an inviting stone wall up there, that's going to lead us right back up to the house. That's, it may serve a functional purpose, but certainly it is communicating to me that this is where we're moving into a different kind of space. I mean, isn't just the texture of the stone wall and its sinuous nature and the way that rough texture sits next to the very gentle, soft texture of the meadow. I mean, I think with the amount of thought that has gone into this garden, I think these are all conscious choices, and I'm appreciating them. I mean, certainly they're delighting my senses, so I hope that you can feel some of it too. We're heading right up to the pool, and that is going to be a delight. I can't wait to show you. Transitioning, as they've done so beautifully, from this, now we're moving into not just pine needles underfoot, but a little bit of mulch just from the forest, just from the wood itself, and up to this wonderful gate, and this, moving from rough stone to sawn stone. There's a message in that, and I think from the other side. So these are the children's initials. There's an H, and there is a D. So I love that monogram too. Lots of thought and aesthetic choice through this whole property. Let's go in. This is a great trio of birches grounding this area and creating a little transition from the woods into this much more formal space. back onto lawn. Very, very soft, and beautiful pool. And wow, we've got another wonderful garden to look at. So come along with me and we'll see what's in this one. There are wonderful, gracious, delicate plants, grasses and baptisia in this garden. But the showstoppers are the peonies, and they're fabulous, and we are here in their moment too. So let's go over and take a closer look at them. I mean, this is so delightful. I happen to know peonies are the owner's favorite flower, and she has them in full force here, and they are just in their moment. Singles over there, you know, these beautiful singles, these doubles. Oh, the smell is so, so heady. And, you know, back to some beautiful singles. Oh, I have to point out these Concord grape above. There are some teeny tiny grapes that are going to develop through the summer. Ooh, look at this. This is a maxima. I'm pretty sure this is a maxima. Amazing. Amsonia is a wonderful plant to interplant with peonies. I mean, don't you think this soft blue is just a lovely color with the range of pinks? But Amsonia, I plant Amsonia not for its spring color, but for its fall colors. So all of this beautiful texture, you have the beautiful texture through the summer, but it turns this vibrant yellow so that September, October, even November, you've got this bright, bright yellow. It's a super plant. You know, there'll be peonies coming along. They have different types here to bloom at different times. So those will bloom, well, for another few weeks anyway, couple weeks, I suppose. Again, so they're away in the summer, so they have also interplanted, not with summer bloomers, but quite thoughtfully with things that will be here when they come back in September. There's Chelone, Hot Lips, and I know along here there's also anemone, which is such a great fall plant. And so delicate, so pretty, just like peonies are. Strong and big in this big space, but very pretty. Amsonia, Chelone, Hot Lips, Rhododendron Beyond. I mean, this great ground cover. I think this is a stone crop, a sedum on the ground. And, you know, this huge collection of peonies that are just about to go, just about to bloom. So they'll have those for a while. And some lovely iris right here, and more peonies. I love this, the repetition. Again, they've done this throughout the garden, and it's so strong to just keep getting this rhythm through a garden. So, so you have this beautiful mix of textures. Again, this Amsonia is just such a lovely texture next to the peony leaf. So when the flowers go by, as they do pretty quickly, you know, then what you really need to be working with in a garden is, what's your texture of your green? What are your colors of green? Because that's what you have really for most of the time. So pretty next to this. I mean, this is another one of these big, big anemones, like an Honoré Joubert, big fall bloomer. The same sort of characteristic, I would say, of the peonies, of being a really pretty, but really big, bold flower with some delicacy. So, you know, peonies, baptisia, meadow view beyond. What could be better? It's fabulous and a delight to be here. Wow, what a way to wrap up a day in the garden. This pool is just lovely. And like so many of the things we've seen today, it's a delight for the senses. It feels so great. The birds are singing all around. There's a trickle of water coming into it. There's the scent of all those peonies that surround this pool. And this is heaven. And I'm so glad that you could come along and join me today.